Let's go. So we're up to Siman Pei Gimel Halacha Beis. Very interesting shaila. His minu lebeis hakisei. They haven't yet used it as a beis hakisei, but they've merely designated it as a beis hakisei. V'adayin lo nishtamish boi, but they haven't yet started using it. Mutar likris kenegdoi. You're allowed to say Krias Shema opposite it. Avelo b'soicha but not inside it. It says in Mishnah Berurah Sif Katan Vav. V'adayin loi aval im nishtamish. But if they have used it even once, then it has the status of a beis hakisei yoshan l'chol dinov, given the hoya sham hazmona umaisa. But if it wasn't a properly designated use, this is going to be a beis hakisei, but they just used it on away from mikra in an occasional way. So I've missed the line. And then they used it one time and they cleared it out. There's no bad smell. It has not got the status of a beis hakisei. Then it's muta afilu b'soichei. Okay, likres. Afilu b'soich daladamosav yesh machmir mezeh. Even within daladamas of it, and there are those who are machmir in this. Kenegdoi, you're allowed to say Krias Shema opposite it. To Chaim Hazmona Lav Milsi, because be'etzem we hold Hazmona Lav Milsi designating something is not significant. But to say Krias Shema inside this room, which is designated as a beis hakisei, is also midrabanan. To have a lebizayin Krias Shema letfila. I'll tell you an interesting thing. I remember my chavrusa told me that years ago he was learning Gates at Yeshiva, and they were building the new binyan, and they saw the plans, and it turned out that his room where he was sleeping, his particular dorm, was going to be the new beis hakisei, right, in the new building. So I can't remember what he asked the Shaila. He says, "Am I allowed to say Krias Shema Lamita?" This, when they eventually build, is it caught by this halacha? I can't remember what the psak was. It could be that it's different, but this is how these sort of halachas could come up. You got plans to do a loft extension, right? And your bedroom is going to be turned into a bathroom with maybe. Okay, just be aware of the halachas. At least to ask a shaila. Lo b'seichei, but not to say Krias Shema in this room, which is designated as a beis hakisei. Dahainu im oisa hamakam hu below mechitzas. If that place is without mechitzas, ein also rak oisa hamakam shehizmin, only the specific place where it's a beis hakisei. Ve'imokam hamoishav shehizmin hu mukav mechitzas. If the designated place has got walls around it, also alidei hazmona kol shetach hahekev shebetech hamechitzas, then the whole area within the walls is going to be a problem. V'ayin b'simen b'somach, siv kotzen zayin, avol mebachutz muta b'somach le. Good. Kosav abehitiv de la harher b'divrei Torah muta b'teich beis hakisei hachodesh k'shtein l'nishtamish bo. To think in divrei Torah in a beis hakisei which has not yet been used, that would be okay. V'chein kosav v'lirav poshet the kahanim. The haboinim sheboinim beis hakisei asurim levorich shom shum bracha. That those who are building, the builders themselves, right? Yiddish builders. I remember my father once told me he was at the Kaisel, and this is years and years ago. And it made an impression on him. There was a frum builder who was wheeling his wheelbarrow, walking, they was building around they're always building in Israel. And he was building. And in his minyan, they got to Kedusha. And the guy stopped, and then he carried on wheeling his wheelbarrow, right? So you got a frum builder, so he's building in this place. They can't make any bracha there. Within the makam mechitzas, which in the designated bathroom. Even if they haven't yet built the mechitzas yet, to kiven shehushim lohem hamakam, since that place is sort of assigned, harinis yachid zeh hamakam, beis hakisei asurim hakisei. This is rubbed down in my mind. Asurim levarich sham shum brach b'fnim b'makam mechitzas. I've jumped the line. Even if they haven't yet built the walls, the kiven shehushim lo hamakam harinis yachid zeh hamakam beis hakisei v'asa. Sorry, okay. So fine. So the builders inside, even though they haven't built the walls yet, that's designated, and therefore you've got a problem. Gimel. Omar Bayis zeh lebeis hakisei. A person said this room is going to be used as a beis hakisei. V'omar al bayis acher, in another room, v'gam zeh. Then dinim shava. Even though you didn't say on the second one the words beis hakisei, the same rule applies because you said v'gam zeh. So obviously you mean as a beis hakisei. V'omar al hasheni ubayis zeh V'loi omar v'gamzeh, then it's not so clear. What do you mean by ubayzeh? Maybe ubayzeh is going to be used as a sports room or something like that. V'loi omar v'gamzeh hari hasheni sofik im izvinu lekachim lav lefichach ein karim b'lechatchila v'imkar b'yot. So therefore lechatchila don't, but b'diavad it would be okay. Fine. It says the Mishnah Berurah, explains the Mishnah Berurah in Sif Cotton Yud im hizminu the Shema Ritzoinu Hayilesayim b'Debayzeh Yilitashmish B'Alma. Maybe he meant that this second house is going to be used for a different use. Elisha Pasak Nimlach V'Lo Sindor. He just stopped, or he changed his mind, and he didn't conclude his words. Okay, Dalet. Beis Hakisei Shuba Chafira. A person made a Beis Hakisei by digging a hole in the ground, or Piv Berichuk Arba Amas Minaguma, and the mouth is 4 amas from the pit. Right. So imagine you've got a field. Yeah, again, it's primitive times, it's olden days. You dig a pit, and then you've got the opening of the pit is 4 amas away, and there's like a slope where the waste is going to go down the slope into the pit, away from the mouth of the pit. That's what we're describing. So beis hakisei shu b'chafira, or piv berichuk arba amas min aguma, and the mouth of the pit, of the opening, is 4 amas away from the guma. For who also b'midrain, and it's on a slant, a slope. B'inyan shaharei misgalgal v'nofel miyad l'merachak, that the ray, the excrement, the waste can sort of flow down into the pit. V'chein meraglaim yordin miyad l'guma. Kasosum domi, the point of the piv is considered closed, or mutalik risbay, because the real problem is the place where there's the rei, which is further away. So long as there's no bad smell, and so long as you're not mashtin outside of the guma, but you're mashtin in the piv of the guma, and it goes down into the guma. Okay, before we can do the Ramah, let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Daled, Sifkat Nudalev, Kasosum Dami, Pirush, Dahavale Ki'ilu Ein HaMokum Hazeh Beis HaKisei Klal, because it's the point of where the piv is, the opening of the ground, that hasn't got a din of a Beis HaKisei at all. And whether or not there are mechitzas on top, it doesn't make a difference, because the actual guma is more than 4 amas away from the piv, and therefore at the point of the piv, then you're okay. Okay, so says the Ramah in Sif Dalet, Aval im mashtinin bohem lefamim, if you occasionally you urinate around the point of the piv, then also the haraboim divrei, then it'll be also to think in divrei Torah, v'kolshken likros krishma, certainly not to say krishma at that point. It says in the Mishnah Berurah in Sif Cotton Yud Beis, Avol im mashtinim rotzolema v'afilu b'shah she'en shom meraglaim ve'en bom reach ra. Even though there's no meraglaim there at the time and there's no bad smell, if sheyesh shom beis hakisei amokum zeh shemichutz, since there is ultimately a beis hakisei there, chutz leguma shemashtin sham. V'kos v'ataz the mikol mokum lemechitzas beis hakisei hazeh ein lohem din mechitzas beis hakisei laharchik mehen mikenegdon. But even in that situation, you don't have to distance yourself from the mechitzas v'chanal b'sif katan, like we said previously. To have meraglaim ein nisim min haTorah lekeneged hakiluach levad, like we've said several times, that min haTorah, the issa of meraglaim is only when you've got the stream of meraglaim. However, once the urine has fallen on the ground, is surak midrabanan, then its issa is only midrabanan. Ve'ein mechitzas elu nikram b'shvuzeh mechitzas beis hakisei, and therefore the mechitzas around where the piv is not considered the beis hakisei. The nira continues in Mishnah Berurah, the oisam makom shenagin lasus mokum yuchad lishtan lakol. Those places where you have a mokum, a place which is designated for lishtanet, for people to urinate, and those places are very smelly. Those places have got the status of a beis hakisei in all respects. Similar to a chamber pot or a potty for a little child. But Hare Poiskim Disura Minator, which according to many Poiskim, the Issa is Minator, and therefore you certainly can't say Krishma and Daven and learn at that place. Gav the meraglaim atzman ein midrabanan, even though the meraglaim itself is midrabanan, mikol makom kivin shum yuchad lezeh, since it's designated as a place for that, and humasriach b'yosef v'chametvei, and it's very smelly. Therefore, we're strict of v'hochinami to chavosei I'm b'sim na'intes prima godim delighted meraglaim hamasriach is surah min haTorah. Who, according to the prima godim, that if the meraglaim smells, it's very putrid, then the issa would in fact be min haTorah. Okay, last sif. B'nei Adam sheyesh lahem safsal nokov v'nifnin alav, that the people who have a bench and there's like a hole in it, and they relieve themselves on that bench. Mutza likris krishma kenegdei kivin she'ein hatzoya ala nekev, because lemaisa, the actual place of the safsal, there's no mokum tzoya around the hole of that. V'gam ein graf tachas hanekev, and if at that particular time there's no graf underneath it, there's like a bag which is taken away, and all you've got there is like a plank of wood with a hole in it, so the plank itself is not essentially a problem. And generally speaking, the nekev is covered over, so therefore there's no issue of saying krishma at that on that place. And then the Ramah just finishes off by saying anyone who reads krishma in a place where they shouldn't, should read it again. Okay, let's just finish off the Mishnah Berurah. Sivkot Yud Gimel krishma kenegdoi svirlei the ein lo din beis hakisei yoshan. This plank with a hole in it, where the pit underneath it or the bag underneath it is just not there, there's no graf sharei there right then, the actual plank is not considered the beis hakisei, and therefore you can say krishma opposite it. The kaimlon the also lefonov b'mloi einov, if it were to be a beis hakisei yoshan, then the issa would be lefonov b'mloi einov, like we said several times, that if it's in your eyesight you've got a problem. Afilu pinu mimeno hatzoya, even if you've already removed the tzoya from this beis hakisei yoshan. El Orach din bias shezminu lebeis hakisei amavur b'sif beis, but rather this plank we give it a din of a bias shezminu lebeis hakisei, which is designated as a beis hakisei, like we said in sif beis. Kivin she'ein alav tzoya me'elam, because there's never tzoya on the plank itself, because it goes into a hole or a bag or something underneath it. Va'agraf ein oimeh tachtov ki im beis hatzorech, and it's only there when you need it. So therefore, it's not considered a proper beis hakisei. But however, many achronim argue with this, and they're of the opinion, it does have the status of a beis hakisei yoshan, because lemaisa, one does go to the bathroom there. That a person wants to say krishma, daven, or learn, hakisei me'abayis. You've got this, if you have an older, a grandparent staying in the house, or even a child, and you've got this portable toilet, the portable bathroom, then you should remove it from the room if you want to learn or daven or say krishma in that room. Or put it behind you, or you cover over the whole chair with something. Even if the actual chair is clean right now, imagine you're in a hospital, sometimes they have these portable toilets. Even if it's clean right now and there's no bad smell, still one should try and either put it out of your eyesight, put it behind you, or just cover it over. And therefore, in houses where you've got these little portable toilets for kids, we would call them today potties, or I don't know exactly what it looked like in those days, but it seemed like a little chair with a plank on it or something like that. You've got to be careful to cover them over when you're saying krishma v'divrei Torah or learning. Even if there is no tzoa in them right now, or take them out of the room when you want to learn. And inevitably the child is going to soil that chair when he is using it. And therefore it will have the status of a beis hakisei even when it is clean. The Derech HaChaim writes with regard to a bench which has a hole in it, if this bench is designated for yeshiva, and it's covered over with a cushion, and when you need to use it, you just remove the cushion, and then there's a hole in the bench, and then you can relieve yourself, and then it goes into some sort of container underneath it. Once you put the cushion back on the bench, then that's considered okay. Even if there's nothing on top of the cushion, because the Ein Lov Shem Beis HaKisei Ayin Sham Tamav. Because I guess this is the kisui, this therefore is considered covered, and therefore you're okay. Okay, but say that is the end of Siman Pei Gimel.